And hello, everyone, and welcome back into another season of Panther Pride right here on TV 24. I'm Mickey Shadricks, joined by the head coach of the Wellborn Panthers, Jeff Smith. I'll be your host each and every week as we talk Wellborn football with the head coach out at Wellborn High School. And Coach, welcome back to another season of Panther Pride.
Glad to be here. Really appreciate y'all doing the show.
Well, it's a real exciting first show for us. Let's dive right in. You started your season last Friday night at home against the number 6 team in Class 4A, the Sacs Wildcats. About as good a team in 4A as we've seen the last few years. Big challenge for your football team to start the season. You win the game 21-20. You've had some time for it to sink in. Give me your thoughts on the game.
Well, first off, Sacs has got an outstanding football team, an outstanding program, and I think Coach Miller and them do just a fantastic job, and we got a lot of respect for them. It's one of those games where we went out there and we knew what it was going to take to win it because it was going to have to be a 4-quarter game, and that's exactly what it came into. It came right down to the last play, and again, we're just very appreciative and, very fortunate to come away with a win.
That's a tough game to schedule for the first game. Yep. Not a lot of coaches would take on that task. They pretty much have had your number the last couple of years.
Oh, yeah.
And you hadn't beat them in about two. I think they've beaten you 2 times in a row. Is this a challenge your kids were looking forward to? Because obviously, again, Sacs has been a very good team the last few years. It looked like your kids were really ready to play.
Well, they were, and those rival games. I mean, growing up out here in Calhoun County and and playing at Wellborn, and the rival games are what we always have looked forward to, and that's exactly what Sacs is. I mean, they've really been good the last, since Coach Miller's had them, they've only lost 6 ball games. So that was their 7th loss, and they've just really been good, and they're good this year. I mean, it's not like they've dropped off a whole lot. That Vigarola and Powell and Smith, those are 3 very good athletes, and they've got a good team. And for our kids to get out there and to play as hard as they did and play the whole game out like they did, it's just, I'm just so tremendously proud of them right now. I can't stand it.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question going into the game. A Wellborn coach team by Jeff Smith is going to play tough, physical, play for 4 quarters. There was no doubt that was going to happen. But when you play a team like Sacs, they seem to have that strong team speed element back again this year. How did you contain that?
Well, there's a lot of times we didn't contain it. They got a lot of team speed. They're fast. Our kids just, we coached them up, this week and worked on them this summer and everything. And we just, we just try to get our kids in the right places at the right time. And, fortunately, especially in the second half, we was able to hold on and contain it enough to keep a win.
One of the unique things about this game was, as we'll see in the highlights, all of the scoring occurred in the first half.
Absolutely.
It was 21-20 at halftime, and nobody scored in the second half. Made it for a very intense 3rd and 4th quarter.
And who would have thought that? Who would have thought that game would have been a 21-20 game at halftime and stay that way in the second half? Because I sure wouldn't have thought that. I expected them to score and us to score, and hopefully we was going to score, more than they did in the second half. But, we came out there in the second half, and both teams moved the football. We were just not, we weren't fortunate enough to get it in the end zone, and they wasn't either.
Well, you had an outstanding game by a lot of players, but we got to mention Jordan Montgomery right at the top, because as we see in these highlights, he had a big game for you, scored a touchdown, had the big interception at the end of the game where he sealed the deal. But you and I were talking before we started taping, maybe the most important thing he did was he hit 3 extra points, and there was no room for error in that game Friday night.
Well, exactly. Anytime you have a big game, and you think back of all the big games, usually it's determined by special teams play, and that's exactly what this one was. Yes, we intercepted the pass right there at the end, the end of the game, but the extra point is what played into actually winning the game, and there it was, a special teams play.
All right, well, we've got all the highlights coming up for you. Back with first half highlights from Wellborn and Sacs from last Friday night right here on Panther Pride. And we are back on Panther Pride and head out to a packed house at the Hill at Welborn Friday night. Coach Sachs in town. Standing room only for this one.
Absolutely. We had an outstanding crowd. And, people lined up on the fence. It was just very exciting. Here you see Jordan Montgomery making a good run. He ran hard the entire game. Right here you see the Sachs quarterback throwing the ball out here on a quick hitch right here. And of course, Jordan running over there making a good tackle right there and had other people running to the football. Here, Bigarola gets loose, and he's an outstanding back. He's one of the best backs we'll see all year long. And they just hit us in a good run right there, and we just didn't feel what we were supposed to. Here they go for two, and this was a big stop for us right there that put them behind. So now the score right now is 7-6. That extra point really paid off. Here DJ, we caught him in a blitz right there, and he got free right there and made a great tackle. Very excited. Here we've got DJ again, good misdirection right there, and he breaks a long run and scores right there. And now we're going to try to kick our extra point here, and we'll go up 14-6. DJ had an outstanding night. I'm very proud of him. The kids blocked well, and just, again, great effort here. Jamicio and Kid Harris, that's the younger brother of Tootie Harris, that made a good tackle on the sacking the quarterback in. Now Smith, he's scrambling around, and this is a busted play, and he found Bigarola, and we were all back, in coverage right there, and he slipped out, and he hit him on a swing pass right there, and he got it in the end zone.
That's that big play capability.
Very much. They just had so much team speed. And then they look at Jordan, how hard he's running.
Wow.
That play should have been stopped in the backfield. He willed himself for a 9-yard gain. Here, we have to punt the football, come down here and have outstanding coverage on our kick. We really try to pride ourselves on our special teams and doing a good job with them. Here you can see, again, Jamicio Elson with a good hard tackle there. He's really improved. He's a junior for us and plays that 3 technique and does an outstanding job. Again, Smith is loose and breaks through there. Now they're ahead. They ended up here going for 2 and getting it, and they went ahead 20-14 at this time right here. And again, Bigarola is just outstanding back. Got a lot of respect for him. So it's 20-14 with 2 minutes and 19 seconds, and here we come back down the field, and we start driving the ball down and went into our 2-minute right here, and we hit them with a screen here and scored. And now here's one of the biggest plays of the game. We line up here and kick an extra point, which is coming up, and that's the difference.
Wow.
I know it is. That makes it 21-20, and we go in at halftime with a score that way.
And there you see, 21-20, Welborn with a halftime lead by a single point. And again, Coach, we talked about this in the beginning of the show, but little did we know that would be the final score. Is there anything you can pinpoint that caused the way the second half went? Were there adjustments made by both teams?
We made our adjustments and they made their adjustments. And both teams moved the ball good the second half. It wasn't like we were just all 3 and out. We moved the football, but neither team was able to score. Right before the drive that they scored, that they threw the interception in the end zone and we stopped them, we had the ball fourth and goal on the 3-yard line, and we didn't get in. Then they took the ball and drove it down there, and of course threw the pass where we picked it off in the end zone and won the game. But both teams were moving the football. We were just not able to finish the drives.
Were you? I know coaches always find something wrong with everything every week. That's just the way you operate. But were you overall pleased with your execution? Because it seemed like for the first game, I know you played a Jamboree game the week before, it seemed like your guys were really dialed in.
Well, I think our focus was great, and I think too, their focus, when they hustle so hard and they play so hard, their focus is going to be good. And I think that our kids were just so zoned in to play hard and knew what kind of game it was going to be and how hard they were going to have to play, which makes everything look better. When everything's full speed, it looks good. It's when you have players taking plays off and stuff like that, that's when the plays and everything look bad. And see, now Sachs was doing the same thing. See, so that's where, you know, you got their effort compound with our effort, and that's why you got what you got the second half. You know, they didn't just come out there the second half and lay down and not score. They were trying to score, and we were fighting, you know, to keep them from it. And the same thing, when we had the ball, they were fighting to keep us from scoring. And that's how the game ended up like it was the second half.
Looking at the game statistically, it was very close, but there's one stat that kind of stands out to me, especially first game of the year. You only had 4 penalties for 20 yards, I think, in this game.
Right.
I know you don't want any penalties, but not bad for the first game.
Well, we preach that. We really do, you know. And also before we play our jamboree, and we split the team up and have a black and white scrimmage where we literally flip a quarter for every player and try to break it as evenly as we can, and then we get officials to come out there and officiate the game, and us coaches get off the field and leave them alone and let them play a game without us out there. And I think that's always helped us going into the season as far as our penalties and our turnovers.
And last question, this segment. Here you are at halftime. You're up by a point. Got a lot of momentum with that last touchdown going into halftime. What'd you tell the team at the break?
Well, we went in there and first I told them how proud I was of how they were playing. You know, before we scored that last touchdown and Sacs got their last touchdown, it was 4th and about 6 inches on our own 40, and I elected to go for it, and we didn't get it. 2 plays later, Sacs is in the end zone, and we've lost the lead. It's 20-14, you know, and that was my mistake. You know, we get on our players about making mistakes. Well, coaches make mistakes too, and I made one. But then we were able to get the ball back and drive it down there and score and recapture the lead before the half right there. And that's just a credit to their will of not wanting to lose, and basically with that refuse to lose mentality.
Well, there may not have been any scoring in the second half, but it was still very exciting football between Wellborn and Sacs. We've got second half highlights coming up here on Panther Pride, but as we go to break, let's listen in to the Wellborn Marching Band from their performance on Friday night. Oh yeah, you got it off. Mickey Shadricks and Wellborn coach Jeff Smith back with you on Panther Pride. Coach, we head into the second half now. You're up 21-20 in the third quarter.
And you see that Sacs has got the ball, and you know, a lot of times when you see 22 and 4 with the football and 6 with the football, you just held your breath. But man, we're playing good defense and we're running to the football, and got people just, you know, getting off blocks and making tackles and hard tackles on top of that.
It's hard.
Oh yeah, you see Jordan, he made 2 real good hits right there in a row. Now we've got the football here. We was going to run a sprint out pass, and they covered it up like a blanket, and Austin was able to pull it down and run with it. Here we have to punt to them again. Again, we had good punt coverage here, pinned them back deep. I think we get them inside the 5 right here and make them have to go a long field. Again, every time the 22 or 4 or 2 had the football right there, you just caught your breath right there. Here we have a fumble right there, and we were able to get on it. And then and DJ has an outstanding run. Again, good blocking with the offensive line and good on the perimeter too. Here he goes again. Basically the same play back to back. Then we ended up not scoring, turning it over. And here we are on defense. Jake Thrasher's our middle linebacker, leads our defense right there and just did an outstanding job making that tackle. Here again, you got Kid Harris and Jamyron Curry getting on the play. So Joseph Harris in there too, trying to make a play. Now it's 2 minutes to go in the game, and now here's the big excitement. They've got the ball. Of course, Smith is scrambling around back out there, and they hit Powell here for a first down. But they had as much as he scrambled around, you have linemen get downfield, and that's what happened to him then. Here again, see, he's so elusive. I mean, when you have a quarterback that's such a dual threat with his legs and his arm right there, anytime he can get loose. And if you saw on this play right here, he runs down there and makes a first down for him. now again he's buying time. We're trying to cover these receivers and everything else, and he dumps it off here, which he did to Figueroa earlier in the game for basically for a long touchdown. Again, now here he is. He's scrambling around, and you know he seems like he's got all the time in the world. And we knock the ball down. Kid knocks the ball down there. He's got all the time in the world to throw the football, but with a guy like that, you want him to throw it more than you want him to dang run it. So we're trying to cover more than we are rush at the time. A good tackle right there by Montgomery. Here comes Figueroa again on a good run right here, and we got Booker and Kid Harris here making the tackle. Here we got Jemiah here in chase right here. Smith pulls the ball down right here, and we get a good tackle right there. That was Pat Harris came by right there and basically knocked his helmet off. And you know, it's just a lot of hard hitting going on. And then here's the final play right here, and they tried to smash right there, and they had done that in their jamboree game. And we knew that when they got down deep, they liked to do that. And Jordan read it and basically jumped up and made the play. And boy, you could see the stands right there erupt when we made that interception. Of course, our sidelines excited right there. And man, what a night! I tell you, you know. And the thing is, as a coach, I know that how much that we put into it, but I know Coach Miller and them did the same thing. And you know, 1 point here or there, right there, it could have been them with a win, just like it was us right there. So you know, our hats off to them. And you know, they had an outstanding effort too. It was a great high school football game, and you hate to see anybody lose it.
Well, there's no doubt two of the best coach teams in our area the last several years. You do a fantastic job. Of course, you mentioned Coach Miller, and hats off to both you guys for playing this game, because this is a game you don't have to play.
Oh, yeah.
And you got the number 6 team in 4A. You were ranked number 8 in 3A. And it lived up to the billing.
Oh yeah, it was anybody that paid $6 to come to that game, they got all $6 worth, because we're sitting here talking on Sunday morning right there. My inside still hurt from the game right there. It was so tense.
Well, let's talk about the improvement you saw from the Jamboree game to this game. Did you see some things that your team improved upon just in that preseason game to the first real game?
Absolutely. You know, and Coach Bowles used to say this when we played, the most improvement that you ever make is from game 1 to game 2. Well, it's the same thing if you play a Jamboree. You know, you have your what you do in the Jamboree, and then how much you're going to improve from the Jamboree to the first ball game says a lot about what your team's going to be like. And look, Lincoln's got outstanding athletes, and they're going to have a good football team. You know, their first game of the season, they had to play a 6A school, but now they got a good team, and Coach Wass does a good job over there, and we were able to beat them in the Jamboree, and then turn around and make improvements from that, and then beat a good Sachs team right there. So now we're getting ready for our region schedule.
Oh, before we move into looking at next week's huge game, what's coming up this Friday night, let's talk a little bit about some support you get at Welborn. I know you want to take a few minutes to talk about your booster club and a lot of the volunteers you have at Welborn, because you know better than anyone, you can't do this on your own.
No.
And to sustain success like you've been able to do at a small school like Welborn, you got a lot of people behind the scenes supporting you.
Look, one person cannot do it by themselves, and our benefit fund are made up of a lot of our former players from that played out in the 60s for Coach Dupree and Coach Adcock, and they really get out there and have helped us a lot with fundraising and helping improve our facilities. Our booster club, I mean, Don Pitts, Perry Thrasher, Richard Moore, Stephanie Boyd, and Ricky Leonard, they have really helped us out as far as the day-to-day, you know, making sure the concession stands are going and getting things to us and fixing things. Wayne Carden, he just got inducted into the Calhoun County Hall of Fame. Every Tuesday he comes out there and gets on the lawnmower and cuts all day. I mean, it just because he wants to do his part to help his school that he graduated from, you know, be successful. And, you know, without them and we got a good set of coaches that are unselfish, and that everybody knows their role and they work hard. Good administration from Joe Dyer to our principal, Chris Hayes, and they just all pitch in, and everybody, you know, has got that team attitude toward trying to help these kids be successful.
And we also appreciate all the sponsors we'll have this year, making it possible for us to bring you Panther Pride each week right here on TV 24. Well, Coach, believe it, as good as that game was Friday night, it gets even bigger this week.
Oh, yes.
We'll talk about this week's matchup with Glencoe coming up next right here on Panther Pride. All right, Coach, before we look ahead to this week's game, let's little unfinished business from the Sac team. Let's talk about your individual player awards and a lot of young men who play their hearts out Friday night.
Absolutely. Every week we give out, four awards on offense and 4 awards on defense. And, we give out a Racehorse Club award, a Racehorse award, which went to DJ Roden this week. Our Scrambler award went to Jake Thrasher. Our Pancake award went to Jake Thrasher. Our 12th Man award, which is our special teams award, went to Jordan Montgomery. Our Big Hog Award, which is our best defensive line and inside linebacker performance, that went to Jake Thrasher. Our Headhunter Award was a tie between Jordan Montgomery and Ked Harris. Our Meanest Panther Award went to Jordan Montgomery. And if I'm leaving out one, let me see. Oh, and our Headhunter, we mentioned our Headhunter, we mentioned our Big Hog, we mentioned our Meanest Panther. We also give out an Offensive and Defensive Player of the Week awards right here, and DJ Roden was our Offensive Player of the Week, and our Defensive Player of the Week was Jordan Montgomery.
All right, congratulations to those young men for their effort in the win over Sacs. All right, Coach, in our remaining moments, let's look ahead. This Friday night, you've got the Glencoe Yellow Jackets coming in to Welborn, both teams 1-0, and folks who follow high school football in this area know what this matchup is all about. This is the team that ended your season last year. They looked very good on Friday night in their opening game. Your thoughts on Glencoe coming to the Hill?
Well, we played them, of course, the same time we did last year, and we had lost our Jamboree and we had lost the Sacs, and we were struggling right there with personnel. We were still trying to find another offensive lineman and a weak defensive end. Well, we were able to figure that out that Monday, and then we went into the Glencoe game and really played well. Only lost that game by a point. But, down the road, we played Piedmont basically for second place, the 7th ball game of the season, and Piedmont beat us, and that put us as third in the region, which, made us have to play. Well, actually, we played Madison Academy in the 3rd round that ended it for us. But, Glencoe has got an outstanding team. They're outstandingly coached. They're going to be very big, very physical, and we're looking forward to it. It's one of those games where, last year, losing to them by a point like we did, and that one time, I think 4 minutes ago in the game, we were up by 13 points and ended up losing by 1. So now for us to be able to get them back at home and, try to revenge that loss right there is something to look forward to.
Appreciate you correcting me there. You played them earlier in the season.
Yes.
They're a very well coached football team.
Oh, yes.
You know Lee Osmond very well.
He does.
Has done a great job with that team the last few years. 2 very similar programs.
Yes.
In the way you run yours and the way he runs his program.
Well, the thing that he does, they're disciplined and they are very fundamentally strong. The thing that they've got going for them, they've got a lot of size and their players got a lot of confidence. They went to the semifinals, so they actually got one more game playing than we did last year. So that always helps. The more you play, the better you're going to get, and the more game experience you get, the better you're going to get. So, I mean, it's going to be a tall task, but it's one that we look forward to taking on.
And finally, I know as a coach sometimes you worry about following up such an emotional game like the Sacs game, how your team will come back emotionally the next game. Shouldn't be a problem with that situation this week, should there?
Well, you always worry about that, but I tell you what, I think I'd worry more about it if we had lost the game. So, we won the game. The kids know how big a region game this is going to be right there. I think that the kids will come in, we'll show them the film from Friday night. We'll go ahead and start watching film on Glencoe. And once we finish cut the film off on Sacs, then Sacs is done. And we'll start watching Glencoe and then move forward with that. Then it's the next week.
And finally, health-wise, you come out of the Sacs game okay?
Well, of course, a physical game like that, you're going to have bumps and bruises, and we did have that. But when you're playing good teams, you're going to have some bumps and bruises, and we just got to get them healed up this week and get ready to go again this Friday.
All right, thanks, Coach. Congratulations on a great start to the season. See you again next week. Hope you'll join us again next week for all the highlights of Welborn and Glencoe right here on Panther Pride.